It's your girl, Michael, and
I'm your boy Ray. What's good with y'all?
welcome to another episode of Sipping with the Simpkins.
Sipping with the Simpkins.
Ready?
Ready.
Our reels have been doing good. You guys have been liking, appreciated, a few comments. Certainly appreciate it. If you've not done it already, please do me a favor and like, subscribe, and share. So I see you all are commenting. Keep liking, but if you could just follow and share, we would really appreciate it.
For sure. And again, the feedback is everything. We like to be able to go back and forth, get some ideas, get your opinion on some of the topics.
So anyway, what are we sipping on?
It's a little vodka. And what was the drink you poured into it?
Sparkling water.
Uh,
All right,
lemon
ready?
sparkling water, I think, right?
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
So today's discussion
Is love enough?
is love enough? Or is commitment what really keeps people together? So you hear so often, people are like, you gotta love each other, you're in love, but is that really enough? Is that what it takes? And so even just for us, thinking back over 25 years, nearly, right? August, it'll be 25 years. Unbelievable. Like,
Time flies.
time flies, but also like more than half of our lives. That's a long, long time. But just thinking back, 25 years of marriage, are there seasons where you feel like commitment or love is what got you through?
I think it's a little bit of both, actually. I think you go through phases. I think in the beginning you might feel one way and it kind of morphs into something else. You know, you love a person for what they bring to the table, how they make you feel, the potential of partnership, like all of the things, right? And then as you get older, the commitment means a little bit more. You actually learn more about somebody, you know, how that a person affects you and affects change on you. Like those are the reasons why you start to really appreciate other people and love them for different reasons, you know?
So you feel like love is maybe the starting and then it grows into commitment based off the development of love?
It could be, or it could be commitment
Or
in the beginning. Because if let's say you're a person who has been with somebody for 2 years and you decide to get married, right? It's different from somebody who's lived together already and been together 15 years and they just haven't gotten married yet, right? So now, are you getting in both situations? Are either one of those couples getting married based on love or commitment? The commitment is already there from the 15 years, so it may be, you know what, I've learned to love this person over these 15 years, and that's what I'm getting married on. The other one might be different. I only known them for 2 years, and what I know of them, I feel like we can have a commitment.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, but I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good assessment. I think it's interesting to your perspective now because, and I always think about this, because early on, to me, I don't know that love, like for both of us, was the same, right? And I remember very early on, and you may or may not remember this, but I remember saying to you, and there could be a difference between loving someone and being in love with somebody. And I remember at some point, I don't know, I would say anywhere between the 1 to 6 years or so, within those years, I remember saying to you, like, are you in love with me? And your response to me, do you remember what your response was?
No.
Your response was, I don't know. And for me, that was exactly the answer. I was like, he doesn't know because not only is he not in love, but you've never really been in love.
Yeah, how
maybe.
does somebody define that? Like, is it a feeling? Is it, you know, the effect that somebody has and how they've changed and helped you mature?
It's definitely a feeling,
You
and
know?
you definitely know. And it was definitely, at least for me, it was heart-wrenching because although it was just that to you, for me, it was like, wow, he's not in love with me. And his answer is that, I don't know. And the reason that he doesn't know is because he's never been in love. And I thought that you could have or should have been. So that was a difficult, which leads me to, is it really about love or is it about commitment? Can someone deeply love another person and still leave?
Absolutely. You got to love yourself more than you love the other person, regardless how I feel about it.
Yeah.
You know, one, you can't be a benefit or value to a relationship if you're not the person that would add to what makes a healthy relationship. You know, that's probably the easiest way I can put it. So
Sure.
I do feel like
Should
somebody
have had a
could love
straw.
you,
Yeah.
but then they're like, you know what? I can't live with you, or I can't tolerate the abuse that you put on me, although I do love you. So I got to let you go do you
Yeah.
because I love myself more than I want to take abuse or feel disrespected or that type of thing.
Sure. And it could be opposite too. It could be that I am not able to be the person that you need or the person that somebody else deserves. And while I love you, I can't show up for you in that way. And so for that reason, I have to take the initiative to leave because I love you enough to let you explore what truly is
I can
going
see
to. I
that.
think the first knee jerk reaction for most people is to respond, maybe to take care of themselves first and say, you know, that's the response mechanism. And you don't necessarily think about how you are preventing your partner, whom you claim to love, to have and explore something that maybe you don't want to give them, you're not interested in giving them, or you're not capable of giving it to them, and for whatever reason. So you say, I love you enough because I know you want to go this path. That's not really the direction that I want to go.
Right.
And so I'm going to let you go. And so then you start to think about, like, going back to the 25 years. Is commitment like a one-time promise, or do you make that choice like every day?
I think there's times and situations where you reevaluate that commitment, you know, in a relationship. It's not like it's conscious that you think about it every day, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think about it every day, but during the ups and downs of any relationship, it brings you back to either A, why you decided to get married, you know, or B, the effect that whatever you're going through has on your marriage, you know, and you evaluate those things. So
Yeah. Is it a one-time thing or is it a daily choice? I think that you have to remind yourself that you made that one-time commitment. I mean, you have to remind yourself that your commitment was the vows that you took, and it was until death do you part. And so for me, it's the one time commitment of that. But there may be times where you have to remind yourself of where you are. Like, I made this commitment. I got to stick this out. I got to work through this. And so it is probably
and when you do it young, it
becomes
forces you to grow up. So
a
you got to
daily
make
thing.
grown up decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think you say that loosely, right? Because it's not like an immediate force to grow up, right? Like there are some things that you are intentionally or abruptly sort of thrust into where you just have to kind of do, but you don't necessarily like just grow up, right? Like,
No, it's over time, but
yeah,
certain decisions force you to think differently.
yeah, for
So
sure.
mentally, you grow up. When you think about love, what you thought it was when you first got married to later on in your life, when you've been married to somebody for a long time, has your definition of love changed? And if so, how?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think about this, or I've thought about this a lot over time, and thinking about in the early days, early on, and when we were first like getting married, it was tumultuous and we were very young. Like you said, young, being thrust into adulthood and parenthood and marital responsibilities and duties. It was a lot as a young person, graduating college, figuring out what career path we were going to take, living in a different city from our family, and just being away. And just all of those dynamics were very, very overwhelming. And so there we had a lot of conflict at the very early end where we almost like called it quits. Although the wedding planning was underway, we almost called it quits. And I remember thinking about like love. What does love look like? And what does that really mean? And is it supposed to feel like this? And I thought it was always going to be this happy, you know, Joy, you were going to be like catering to me. I'm going to be your princess.
I'm the prince.
You're going to be sweet and kind to me.
Right.
That I thought that this love thing was supposed to look like. And over time, I realized like he's trying to figure this out just like I am. And I'm putting a lot more pressure on him to be responsible for,
Or to be the person you wanted me to be. And it was like,
to be the person that I wanted you
yeah,
to
like,
be. It almost translated into I had this expectation of somehow you making me happy. And it's like, I got to be happy within myself. I can't have you responsible for my
yeah, right.
happiness.
I can add to your happiness,
You
but
can
solely,
add to my
yeah,
happiness,
yeah,
but
yeah.
for you to be the sole contributor of how I'm feeling is not only a lot of responsibility for you, but I'm giving you way too much power over my
Exactly.
day and my life.
Exactly.
And like I had to figure out that love and happiness isn't the same thing. Like you can love someone, you can be unhappy, or you can not love someone and be happy. Like they just aren't, they don't coincide. They're not,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not intertwined.
I hear what you mean.
You can have one without the other.
I think though it's the perception of marriage and what it looks like, right? And when you, in the early stages of marriage, when you have this idea of who you want your husband to be, who you want your wife to be, how you want them to treat you, how many down to how many times they're going to be cooking and all, you know what I mean? And then when you realize it doesn't work like that. It's not that easy to just tell somebody, hey, this is what I want you to do, and they do it. It's not like that. So
Yeah.
you have to learn to accept people for who they are. If they're a good person, their personality, the way they treat people, the way they respect family, the way they interact with their parents, kids,
The morals,
yeah, all of
the
that.
ethics.
Right. And if
Goes
you
down
feel
for
down
you.
like you got a good person from that perspective, 9 times out of 10, the rest will play itself out if you accept them for who they are. And, you know,
Yeah.
obviously there's no perfect marriage. Just like, you know, there's
And I
no
think
perfect
that
way to raise kids. You just got to go through it and figure
you're
it out.
learning.
And yeah, you're learning.
You're learning, you're changing, people evolve, but also accepting people for who they are. And I don't know that I have always done that. Like there was a lot of things that I obviously liked about you. And so like it just worked for me. But then there were some things that I'm like, I don't like and I want to change because that wasn't the ideal husband for me. Like it just started not to work a little bit. And so I kind of pushed against like who you are and not allow you to be who you were and trying to change that a little bit or hoping that you would change on your own. Whereas I feel like you have always been really accepting in that way. Like you never really try to, like, I don't cook like he would prefer me to cook. And while he would like certain types of foods, he's never really like he'll buy me a cookbook for Christmas or some shit. Don't get me wrong. Like he's done some silly stuff like that. It's not been like that make or break, and you never really like put super pressures on me. Yeah, like you might throw little innuendos type things or say, why don't you do or why don't you try? But it's never, that's just one example. It's never really been a thing where you've like really tried to change me. So I appreciate that about you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Salute. Hey,
wasn't much to change.
Let you be you. Next question. What surprised you most about marriage?
What surprised me most?
And I'll jump out there while you think about it. I think for me, it's the amount of work it would take to just coincide with somebody and live with somebody that you didn't grow up with, that was raised different than you were. And so that part of it, you don't really think about. Then you realize like you were raised differently than me, and so you do things differently than I would do.
For example?
Well, I don't want to get into the specific examples, but just know.
Just one example.
Just know that it could be as simple as some people put ketchup in the refrigerator and other people don't. You know what I mean? Some people do, some people don't. I've seen it both. So it's little things like that you learn along the way, that people just do things differently naturally, right?
It's interesting that you feel that way because you didn't grow up with siblings, and so it wasn't like.
But I've seen it though.
So I think that
like you do what your parents
maybe
do
that
pretty
was
much.
The issue,
you know?
though, is that you didn't have to grow up with somebody else in your home. And so having somebody and having to share space. So I could see that making sense.
Yeah, so nobody talks about how hard it is to be able to get to that point where you're accepting of other people's behaviors or the way they were raised or whatnot. It's a learned thing, and some people make it through that, and some people don't. You know,
Yeah.
or it creates arguments for like silly stuff, but nobody talks about that. So really, you just gotta figure out people and
Yeah.
let them live.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, to me, I've had roommates throughout college. Like, I've lived with people. So, that nuance of living with people and getting used to how clean or unclean they are and putting things away and that type of thing was never really a thing for me. I think what really, and this is probably as I'm getting older, is it's almost a dependency. Like, I have a difficult time sleeping when my husband is like out or away. And it kind of scares me, especially as we get older. Like, I'm just used to, and that kind of surprised me because I've never really like felt like I needed to have somebody next to me to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be that person. And I totally am that person. And I'm like, I think about, like, again, as we're getting older and one of us is going to be laying here without the other at some point. And that worries me. And I can't believe that, like, marriage, I think that because I've been married for so long and been with you for so long, and we've not spent like a whole lot of time. I mean, the year that you came here, yes, you know, you had some things for work and we had some different, you know,
But
short
not-
periods of
right,
time
right.
where, but mostly we travel and do things as a unit. And I appreciate that and I enjoy that. And like, I just never thought that I would be that girl. And I'm that girl. Like, I'm going with my husband's going with me. Like, we rolling together. Like, that's just
You made
how
me
it
think
is.
about something, fellas out there that's listening. Does your wife tell you when it's time to go to bed and say, "Hey, come to bed"? Like, because she's going to bed, I gotta go to bed. She made me think about that. It's funny,
I
but
just told you why. But it's also, he stays up so late and then he wakes up when it's time to go to work out and he's like, my sleep score is low. This, you know, you getting old when you're looking at your sleep score and you trying to do stuff based on your sleep. My energy level's low. I can't do nothing. I'm like, boy, you better get up out this bed.
Hey, man.
So then I'm like, it's time to go to bed so you can get up in the morning. I don't want to hear nothing about no low sleep score or low energy score.
What advice would you give to a young couple today?
This is going to be non-traditional, and I'm curious what others think. And this is merely based on the fact that literally our entire 20s, we, for lack of a better phrase, gave it up for family, marriage, parenting, career. And I don't know, I think a lot of our early hiccups were as a result of that. We hadn't fully developed. We hadn't given ourselves any sense of time to explore ourselves entirely as we were really moving into adulthood. Mm-hmm. Who are we as individuals? Who do we want to be as, not even as, right? Like, even thinking about it, at least for me, I'm not the girl that was like, oh, I can't wait to get married and have kids. People say, I dreamed about this since I was a little girl. I was not that girl. I don't ever remember thinking like, oh, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have 3 kids. I do remember saying, like, if I have kids, I wanted to live abroad so that my kids could speak multiple languages, because I just felt like if they were immersed in a different culture, it would be easier. I feel like you have to give yourselves at least your 20s to explore different people.
So you tell them not to get married until after their 20s, maybe in the 30s, start to think about it?
But that's not my sole advice. My advice is to learn who you are, learn what you're capable and you want to give, learn different people. You don't have to be in a single relationship, one person. Date many people and explore before you decide that you want to settle down.
Okay.
That's what my advice is. And then you start thinking in your latter years toward your 20s, like when you're dating, who you want to get serious with. And, you know, because there are those things like that window is true, especially for women. And, you know, while you can have children earlier, like I understand that biological clock. And so just to be mindful and considerate of that, that's sort of the time frame that I would
Okay.
suggest.
I would tell people to not have high expectations of who you want that person to become,
Whoa.
especially when you're young, because
High
people,
expectations.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
let me explain that, because some people might take it the wrong way. You can always think in your head like, hey, I would like for this for us in the future, right? Happily ever after, big house, dog, front yard, kids running around, all of that. That's cool. But the expectation that you're going to change somebody and make them who you want them to be, you got to throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Like, don't go into your marriage, or it never works. It's going to end up causing you more grief than anything else.
Sure.
You have to let people be themselves authentically and appreciate them for them. That will sustain your relationship long term. So I think some people go into relationships with the idea that they can make people do what they want them to do, and like when they don't, they get frustrated, and all of a sudden you're not my person. Well, you didn't let me be me. Appreciate who I am and what I bring to the relationship, not this fairy tale of who you thought you wanted me to be or trying.
Well, hopefully that exploration in those early years, you have a full understanding of the type of person that you are choosing to
For
be
sure.
your partner. And so then it's not a matter of changing, because you're choosing those people that you're attracted to for all of the reasons, and because they're the person that you want them to be.
Right, but also
So that's
choose somebody
why-
who compliments you, you know, and somebody that you feel down the line would be able to add value to your life. And it's hard to think about that when you're young, because most people don't even think about it in that way. But if I were to give somebody advice, I would tell them that, to start thinking about it from that standpoint.
Yeah. And by the time you're 28, 29, 30, you should be able to have that pretty much figured out. And if you don't, that's okay too. But that's why I feel like the 20s are the years to figure out all of those little nuances.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for what you want, who you are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And I think that will alleviate a lot. I think it would have alleviated a lot of the issues that we had early on.
And so I'm interested, get in the chat and let us know. I'm interested in your experience and what you feel in these topics, and you know how it's played a role in your life. And for those who have been married longer than we have been, then let us know. Give us some them jewels, man. Right. I know y'all got some gems out there that y'all want to let us know about, that we could perhaps mention and throw a shout out.
And that we can also learn from, because we're still trying to figure it out. Like, we still go at it about some different things, and you know, it's a work in progress. I think
it's a lifelong,
it's a lifelong commitment
and learning
journey.
process.
Yes. So is love enough, or is it commitment? And I'm going to go with, it's definitely a commitment. That being said, that does it for another episode of Sipping with the Simpkins. Please like, subscribe, and share. Follow. I'd really appreciate it. And again, continue to comment. Appreciate all you guys' feedback, positive or negative. Like, I really want to grow this thing and keep this going. So thanks.
Salute. Real marriages for the win.